Fan now on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. The link is in the description below.
Yes, people. Hello, everyone. We are back for a special edition of the Top 6 show. We are joined by the legendary LB and the legendary Rory Jennings, not Rory Jennings, the better version of Rory. Rory Talks Football. Guys, how are you doing today?
I don't know how Rory is. You just insulted him now, man.
I know, I'm so sorry.
Well, we're start 35 seconds into the stream, and you're already throwing out insults like that. Come on, man.
All right, this is why Terry hosts more than me, man. I'm rusty, man. I'm rusty as hell. But no, I hope you guys are well. Terry is okay. For once, it's not his health or his rest. He's currently spending time with the family. They have a family celebration. So he deserves the time off, guys. You know how much he works hard for you guys, making no content all the time. So make sure you guys are liking the video. Show Terry some love. Show Rory and LB some love as well. Share this out to everyone and subscribe to the Football Terrace. Today, boys, it's international break. And you know what that means? That means that apparently people like to discuss everything under the sun. All old topics come up, new topics come up. You know what I'm saying? So we've got a few for you guys today. We'll be talking Man United and is there going to be change under Sir Jim Ratcliffe? We have a cheating scandal that does not involve Man City for once. It is Chelsea. Chelsea are under the microscope about some cheating allegations under the time of Roman Abramovich. Arsenal are going through some interesting times as well with some player commotion with Aaron Ramsdale and his dad. I don't know, you can say starting a war with Arteta, in many people's opinion. And also a little bit of transfer news as well. Hope you guys are all good in the chat. We've got CFC 1905 as well in there. Good to see you. You know what I'm saying? True Blue Clay. Fraser, obviously, always in the chat, chatting to us. So I hope everyone is all good. But guys, where do we start? You know what? Let's just get it out of the way. Let's just get it out of the way. Let's get Michael out of the way. Manchester United. So Manchester United are currently going through a change of, not full change of ownership, but you got Sir Jim Ratcliffe coming in, about to purchase 25% of the club. And with that 25% is apparently, I say apparently because I don't trust the Glazers, apparently sporting control. And we're already seeing some kind of change happening. So you've got Richard Arnold gone. He will be gone by the end of the year. He has been sacked. They'll say mutual termination. Nah, his ass got booted. You know what I'm saying? You've got potentially John Murtaugh and other members of the Man United football instructor recruitment team about to leave as well. And coming in, reportedly, is the ex-Juve CEO and PSG CEO, Jean-Claude Blanc. You've also got potentially the likes of Paul Mitchell and even Michael Edwards, who was at Liverpool, potentially coming into the mix and trying to change the football structure at Man United. I want to ask you guys the question. I'll go to Rory first. What do you think will come from these kind of changes at Manchester United? Do you think this will change anything, or do you think same old will happen? The Glazers will be the Glazers, and there'll be no real change at Manchester United.
I think there will be change. There will definitely be change, and it should be positive change. I think you look top to bottom, kind of behind the scenes at United, it's been a shambles for quite a long time, and it definitely can't get worse. I think the recruitment's been awful for years. In terms of, you've had some decent signings here and there, but generally for the amount you've spent, you've not got anywhere near the squad to show for it. I think, even stuff like when Ronaldo was leaving, the dirty laundry that he had about the club, it can't be a bad thing to make these changes. It's just how much of a difference they make. And one of the worrying things I saw was, I can't remember where it came from, but it was basically saying that it would be recruitment would be taken off Erik ten Hag, and the recruitment players that would be bought wouldn't be what Ten Hag necessarily wants, but it'll be players that they want. That for me is quite worrying. I think you need to find a balance of unless they're planning on getting rid of Ten Hag, I think you need to find a balance of what the manager wants to work with and then making sure that from a business perspective, it works out as well. So I think that's probably the most worrying thing that I've seen.
Yeah, I hear that. LB, what do you, from initially, when you hear these kind of names being linked to Manchester United for the football structure, what, as a rival, what do you think that could potentially mean?
Well, first of all, I got to say, I disagree with Rory, man. I think they need to get someone in there to make the signings and take that off Ten Hag. Now, that doesn't mean necessarily that he can't have any input, right? But I think Ten Hag's shown since he's been at Manchester United that his signings are very, very suspect, and he's blown the best part of £400 million on a lot of trash. Some decent stuff in there, but even the decent stuff is now like you're fading. Like you're looking at Casemiro, he's still got like 4 years left on his deal, and his legs look like they're going. So I think that there is a real problem there with Ten Hag and his signings. He raided the Eredivisie, which was a massive, massive red flag. So I think getting somebody in there above him, a sporting director, someone who knows the style, and what you're effectively doing then, you say, right, this is how we want you to play, Ten Hag. This is because this is what City do. This is what obviously Arteta is slightly different, I think. But at City have you got Tiki who makes the signings. Pep will have an input, yeah. But ultimately, we're buying players to fit the system. And then if Ten Hag can't coach those players, he'll be gone and he brings someone in. But where United have struggled is over the last decade is that they've obviously let the managers make the signings, but because the club has no identity of how they play football, you're signing players who are completely different to the next manager. So you've had like Moyes, who's more of like a hard worker, defensive player. You've had Van Gaal, possession-based player. You've had Mourinho, completely opposite, back to defensive. Then you had Ole, counter-attacking. And now you got Ten Hag, who's meant to be playing possession-based football. So for me, getting a sporting director and saying, like, this is the way United want to play. Whatever that way is, that's up to United. Whether it's possession, whether it's counter-attack, whatever. But these are the players that we're going to be signing. The sporting director, along with the scouts and the scouting network, can then identify players to bring in. I'm not completely dismissing what Rory's saying. Of course, Ten Hag has to have a say, but ultimately, I think the club are going to have to start bringing in players, and he can have a little bit of an input. But you've got to take that responsibility off him because he's proved to me that he can't do that, bro. I agree with Rory with the rest of he said. I think this is going to be a positive move for United. I know a lot of United fans will still not like it because they want Glazers out, but I think you've got to come to the realization that this is probably the best you're going to get. You know what I mean? Or unless someone's willing to massively, massively, massively overpay for the football club, which isn't going to happen. This is probably the best you're going to get. And I think it's probably a positive move. But getting a sporting director in, I think that's going to be a good start. That's going to be a good start. And that will then prove whether or not Ten Hag can actually take this team further. Because if you give him the players and say, this is how we want you to play, and he can't do it, then ship him off. You know what I mean? But the United get themselves into a bit of a bad situation because you can't really just let a manager spend 400 million on his players, which obviously all the players that they've signed are his, and then just say, sin a bit, pal, and then bring in a new manager. Because what about if the new manager's like, don't like Anthony, don't like Malacia, don't like Casemiro, don't like Onana, don't like Martinez? Then what are you going to do? So I think this is a step in the right direction. I think what United are doing is they're going to take a step into the 21st century.
I've been waiting for that for
I think that's what they're going to do. Welcome to the party. You know what I mean? That's what I would say.
Yeah, no, I hear where you're both coming from. It's an interesting one because Rory brought up a good point there. It's like if they're already saying, because I've seen it as well, Muppeteers did report that they're actually in January, especially, they're not going to just buy him players that he wants. It'll be no, we're trying to start bringing players that we would want to bring, and you have to work with that. Is that a sign of actually Ten Hag may not be the guy that we want? Because there's been murmurings of maybe De Zerbi coming in, like the whole thing of Ten Hag's position is not of concern, like it's fine. We all know what that means, really. He ain't fine. You know what I mean? These guys are gonna be looking at it. If you had some reports saying that they're okay, they're happy to have him, but like if results don't change, he will be gone. So
KJ, I don't think that's a direct. He's under pressure. I think obviously naturally, like any manager in the Premier League, you're under a certain degree of pressure. But I think that is just the new owners coming in, Jim Ratcliffe and his crew. I think that is just them recognizing that United cannot continue to allow the managers to make the signings because that's not going to work. You know what I mean? You've got to get the identity. This is going to be our identity, and we're going to make the signings according to the identity, and we're going to get a manager, and not a manager. Let's start using the word manager as well. We're going to get a coach to coach these set of players to play this style of way, and they'll give him a year. And if you can't do it, see you later, because that's as far as it goes for me. But I think they'll give him a bit of time, because at the end of the day, he has also spent 400 million, so you probably want to give him till the rest of the season at least.
You know what would be interesting? We've seen Ten Hag under a good structure at Ajax. We saw the way that he played, the brand of football that he brought to Ajax at that time. It was good, and that's why we went for him in the first place, because it's like, yo, this guy looks like it could go on. Rory, do you think Ten Hag can change or will change with these new people? Say if they come in and say, look, we want you to play like this. Don't worry about the players. Don't worry about you having to pick whoever. We've got you. You just focus on coaching. Do you think you'll be able to turn around that dressing room and get United playing some good football and getting some results?
Yeah, I think so. He does. He's not going to have a choice for starters, but it will take pressure off him. I think from the minute he came in, there's been pressure to. Clearly, he's been having to deal with a lot of the signings or making those choices. And it's one of them where it's like, he wanted Anthony, fine, but he probably wanted Anthony for like 45, 50 million. And then when they're coming to him being like, okay, it's going to cost 80 million, he's in a position where it's like, well, you either take him and then that's going to affect his budget down the line, or you don't. So I think a lot of that pressure is being put on him. If you take that responsibility off him and he does just go back to coaching, I think that could help him. And he doesn't have the pressure, the media pressure. If everyone knows that they're not his signings, then that does take a lot of pressure off him. And I think it puts a lot of pressure on Sir Jim Ratcliffe and that lot that come in, because already there's a lot of United fans that don't want them. If they then say, we're not going to let Ten Hag make any signings, we're going to make them ourselves, and it doesn't work out from there, I think that's far more problematic for them than it is for Ten Hag. Ten Hag's got the record at Ajax of creating a team that plays good football. So, yeah, I think he can do it. I think some of his comments have been a bit peculiar. The way he said he'll never be able to play football like that again, as if that Ajax team was full of superstars. He should be able to adapt, and I guess he's just got to get given the time, and it's whether or not he is given that time.
Yeah, I hope he can turn it around. I believe that he can. He's shown that he's adaptable by coming in the first place and being able to get third and win a trophy. This season has just been, I say, he's just like lost his mind. I think so much has gone on behind the scenes. Obviously, you had Jadon Sancho, you had Anthony, Greenwood, at the time Ronaldo, David De Gea. So there's so many things going on. Plus the whole, are we getting bought over, takeover talk. So as a manager, I do sympathize with him in terms of that aspect. There's a lot behind the scenes that's going on. But in terms of on the pitch, there's things I'm just like, bro, like you are clearly just making big mistakes that you weren't last season.
I think he's stuck. Yeah, but KJ, I think he's stuck, man. I think that he's, like Rory said, coming out saying, I ain't playing this style of football or whatever. Like that's probably a weird thing to say, man. Because I'm pretty sure every single person watching this stream thought that when Ten Hag came to United, that they was going to play a possession-based style. Yeah, that I'm pretty sure everyone can agree on that. Yeah. So to come out and say that, that's proper weird. And I just feel that like he's in this weird position of not really knowing what to do with the players he's got, and he doesn't know how to set them up. Yeah, I watch United quite a lot, and they play different styles quite regularly. United fans will validate that. Sometimes they play defensive and trying to hit you on the break. Sometimes they will try and pressure, and I just feel like he doesn't really know what to do. That's probably maybe he's feeling the pressure in terms of he's got too much to do. I think Rory's right. I think bring in this guy, who will make the signings and say, right, you are now purely a coach, and we want you to coach the players to play possession-based football or whatever the style is, right? Yeah. We'll deal with the signings. We'll deal with all that. You're now just purely a coach. Get on with it, yeah? Anything football player related, the club will make the decision, not you. You know what I mean? Again, like with some of the players, he's had a lot of the say. We'll deal with that and just let him coach and then see what happens. I think he's probably had too much to deal with, to be fair. And again, that probably just shows you what a mess United were in.
Yeah, we're in a big mess, and that moves on to my last point before we move on to the next topic. We are such a mess that I know we wanted Glazers gone. I was championing Glazers going for so long, and I still do. But there was only two candidates in the running for Man United in the end. One of them was Sir Jim, And he was trying every single way. You saw him go from 100 to 75 to 50 to now 25. So he's saying, I'll do whatever it takes just to get in the door. Where you had the other side, Sheikh Jassim, who is like, I just want it like this. Like, I will just give you this amount of money and you don't take it, leave it. Like, and the approach that won is Sir Jim's. And as a United fan, yes, I would have loved Qatari owner. Yeah, me and Luiz could have been sitting here on our oil rigs, you know what I mean, sipping some good drink if we got Qatar as well, you know what I'm saying? But
that's shameless, bro. After the last decade, of you United fans and everyone else getting on the back of us, you got to join us, that's how it is. Shameless.
All right, now listen.
Bro.
I ain't one of them, man. Hey, listen.
Oil me you up, are baby. One of them. Sure, bro. You 100% one of them,
baby. You know what I'm saying? Oil me up. I'm here for it. Shameless. But yeah, like that's not the case. And as United fans, it's either this and some systemic change in the structure, or no one at all. And we've experienced no one at all for 20 years plus. So, as much as I would love the Glazers to be gone, I'm willing to give Sir Jim a chance to see what he does, because we don't know what can transpire. I've already seen Sir Jim out already. Imagine if we win the Premier League in the next 5 years. Like, how silly will people look then? You know, people wanted Fergie out, I'm sure, in his first early years when he came to United, trying to change things. And it takes time. So we will see. Guys, let me know in the comment section if you think Man United's structural change will happen and it will change Man United. Will it be something that would take us forward, or will it be just another Glazer papering over cracks while they kill us slowly? That's what they've been doing, sucking their life out of us, man. Leeches. But we will see. We got a comment here said United FC. It says Ancelotti, Flick, Simeone, Spalletti, Zidane are the managers that I want over this Dutch fraud. De Zerbi will be another option, but I want an experienced manager in the game, not this Eredivisie fraud. Oh, United FC really not liking Ten Hag right now. And you know what? I get it. He's not in the best kind of form as a manager, so I understand that. I saw a comment saying that Michael Edwards would never go to Man United because of Liverpool. Hey, listen, money talks, baby. You know what I'm saying? Remember, these guys aren't necessarily attached to one football club. You know, they will move around. Football directors, sport directors, they'll move around where they're wanted. And hey, listen, being the guy that helps facilitate Man United come back to the top, you'll be a legend within the game. So these three men, if they come in and do it, fair play.
I reckon they'll take you backwards before they take you forwards. I think if they want to start running United like a proper football club again, they're going to have to. There are so many players that you've got that are on ridiculous wages. You're known in the transfer market as being a club that will overpay on wages and fees. And I think you'll have to go through a period where you really struggle to sign players because you have to start pulling it back in and acting like a proper club. And I think for a while that will set you back. But you need to go back to rebuild from scratch almost and then build out again. It's just whether, again, you go for a couple of years of that regression even more with people that you already don't really want. It'll be, it could get toxic.
You know what as well, Rory? Yeah, United fans need to have a proper conversation about the players that are not good enough to be at Manchester United. Yeah, you need to, like, I'm saying this as a non-buyer. I'm not a United fan. I don't care what happens, yeah? I'm telling you, some of these United fans need to wake up and smell the coffee. Yeah, 50%, if not more, of those players are not good enough to play for Manchester United. Yet, for whatever reason, some United fans are constantly like, "No, keep him. He's going to get better next year. Or it's just a dodgy season." You need to wake up, mate, because City are moving mad. Arsenal starting to move that actual proper club after a decade. Liverpool have got Klopp, and they'll always, under him, he's going to be good. I'm telling you, man, United fans, you need to wake up. You need to make a decision on someone like a Rashford. Do you know what I mean? Like, he has like 3 bad seasons, 1 really good season, automatically gets 350, 400 grand a week. And now he's poor again. You need to make decisions. Aaron Wan-Bissaka, is he good enough to play for your football club? And not just them, loads of them. Martial, Ericsson, yeah? Scott McTominay, loads of them. You need to have an honest conversation with yourselves. Are these players good enough to get in the Manchester City team or even the Arsenal team or the Liverpool team? If the answer to that question is no, move them on. Because that's who you try to catch up. Do you know what I mean? And it's accepting the mediocrity that you've had over the last 10 years that's got you in this mess in the first place. Keeping Deadwood. Do you know what I mean? I sometimes speaking with my mates, United fans and that, and I'll be speaking to them in the pub or whatever, and like speaking about some of the players. And like they'll speak about some of the players, and I'm like, bro, that guy wouldn't even get in my reserve team. Yeah, they'll be like buzzing about him and be like, yeah, this guy mint. I was like, bro, you fallen off, man. You've fallen off. I don't know what it is. I don't know what's happened there, but your standards have lowered, and you need to just. I think it might be difficult because you've become attached to certain players. You spent a lot of money on a certain player, so maybe you want to give them a chance, but it's not working, and you just need to wake up in it. And if you don't wake up, fine, because that benefits me, benefits Rory, don't benefit you, KJ, obviously, but you know what I mean. You need to wake up, man. You need to wake up.
I agree. I look at the players that have gone through now, at least 3 managers. I look at every single one of those players, and I think that's a problem because all of them have basically down tools as soon as it gets hard, and that's a big problem. And none of them have there's been not a single one of them where even when it's down, they're like the shining light. It's like when one drops off, they all drop off. I think it's a massive problem, and I genuinely think that the majority of that squad needs rebuilding pretty much at this point.
Yeah, no, it does. And listen, I'm at a point where any of those players can go, and I would feel like, okay, cool. Like it for the greater good, it happens. Like the one player that I personally am very attached to, and people like know this, is Marcus Rashford. I feel like he's given us so at a young age, seeing him come through and become a player that's helped win us things. I get why I'm attached, and I get why people are attached to him. But even him, this up and down of being a guy can get 30 goals to almost nothing, like after after a season is crazy. Like I personally, I'm not saying, yo, that can't happen at Man United unless he's willing to be a bench player at this moment in time. You've got to really consider everyone is ready for the chopping block. Even some of the new guys, if they come in and say, listen, Onana, you're actually not the goalkeeper for us. You're the manager's pick, but you're not the goalkeeper we want. I'll be like, hey, listen, that's just football, isn't it? And we're at a point where we can't have sentiment. Like Man City right now, you can have sentiment with all your players. Like KDB, obviously his body's breaking down, but if you wanted to keep until he's 35, 40, you can, because of how much you've done, how much is done for you guys, and how much your guys are ahead of everyone. You can do that. Arsenal, you're getting to a point where if a few years go by and Saka's still around, but you've won things, you can be like, yeah, you know what, Saka, stay around. You're a good servant. We can't do that, Man United, right now. We don't need that. We need big change indeed. You guys are right. These players need to be looking at themselves. Are they really wanting to be Manchester United legends? Because that's all you'll be if you win a Premier League.
Bro, stop handing out mad cash to everyone, bro.
All right, listen.
What is this, man? I remember when we got bought, and that United fan in the stadium at the derby went, our players make history, your players make money. Mate, what an embarrassing thing that is now, because it's completely opposite way round, bro. Yeah, I mean, you're giving Marcus Rashford 350. Yeah, you're giving all this cash everywhere where we just won the treble. Yeah, tables have turned massively. But this is because you've given big cash to mediocre players. And you panic. You act like I'm not being funny, you act like a small club. Like, do you remember the Ronaldo stuff that went on? Like, that was like, getting Fergie to ring him and say, don't go City, mate, because you'll ruin your reputation. You should sign players that you actually want to sign.
Yeah.
Whereas you panicking to signings and that. I think now, this new guy comes in. I don't know necessarily whether I agree with Roy. I don't know whether it will get worse. Maybe it might, but maybe
I probably will.
And instantly get better. Who knows? But they need to step into the modern day. They need to start acting like a big club again, like we are Manchester United. Stop signing players that you don't actually want. Get rid of all the deadwood at the football club. Sort out the wages. Sort the stadium out because your stadium's falling down. Get a new training ground because your training ground's bare old as well. And just like I say, step into the modern age.
Yeah.
I saw this as well from Matt Law saying that Sir Jim Ratcliffe set to receive advice from Sir Alex Ferguson as he prepares to undertake. That for me is another massive problem. Like the fact you're still going back to Fergie, I'm like, one of the best things I think Arsenal, and I think it was actually Arsene Wenger's choice, was that when he left, he cut ties completely, walked away, and he's barely been back at all since because he doesn't want him or his opinions or anything to overshadow what we're trying to do. I think if you're still going back to Fergie 10 years on, that's a problem. That is
No,
a big
it
club.
is.
I agree.
And obviously he's been through so much since he's been manager. Obviously, he's had health complications. His passing of his wife. Like, leave the man alone. He just literally wants to watch Man United play. That's what he wants to do. Come into the
And it's-
club, watch them play, and leave. Stop coming to him, man. Let him rest, man. Let him
Yeah.
enjoy life.
And it's a new era. Like, football isn't the same as it was when he left it. His he can have opinions, but I just don't even think he's the right man to be taking advice from anymore.
Yeah, hopefully that's just like conjecture and a rumor.
It's a difficult, but this is what I'm saying about United need to stand up for themselves as a big club. But this is where they need to make a difficult call and say, "Nah, we're not going to take your advice no more." Because as Rari said, this is not about disrespect, by the way. This is about just saying, as Rory said, the game's moved on. And listen, you can, if he wants to give advice, fine, but you've got to be strong enough to say, we appreciate the advice, but we're going to go a different direction. You know what I mean? And I would be hesitant to take anything that he says personally, just because, like Rory said, it was a different era. I mean, what's it been, a decade since he's been in the game? Just think about everything that's happened in the football world in terms of transfer market valuations, FFP, the way that's developed. You got VAR. You got so much that has changed since he left. I would be hesitant to take any advice. I'd take the advice, but then I'd make my own call.
Yeah, it's like when your granddad's trying to tell you about like technology. He's just like, all right, grand, you're all right, granddad, like, cool, innit? Like, you accept it, but at the same time, you just know that it's time to move on.
I think it tarnishes his legacy as well. I think he's such a good legacy, but the more his name gets attached to what United is now, I think that he doesn't need that at all.
Yeah, it does not hurt. It doesn't help him whatsoever. We've got some super chats here, so a quick one. It goes, Ronnie says, I want a new CEO and a DOF. Get rid of the United tax. Being able to be taken seriously in the market as Manchester United will help us so much. Teams know they can pull our pants down, and it's embarrassing, honestly. The fact that we paid almost 90 million for Anthony.
It takes time, though.
Flipping out. I know. Obviously, Arsenal have to
time.
do the same. Obviously, you guys.
We still are. We still can't sell players for the money that we should sell them for, because we're known as a club that either you can get players for ridiculously cheap off, or you just wait for them to run down their contract, which happened with so many of our biggest players. So it takes time.
Yeah, and we've got Johnny Sins here with Ten Hag's bald head. He goes, United fans never learn and now getting gassed again with Jim. I will tell you now, he's just going to be a good guy front man to take the heat off the Glazers. And it's not okay. For me personally, it's not about getting gassed. I'm not overly like, yes, Jim's going to save us. It's more of just, it's a change. So
I'm willing, I think you can be optimistic, bro.
I'm willing to see. I'm willing to see where it goes. Do I think it's the change we need? No, because again, the Glazers still here. I don't trust the Glazers fully, but I'm willing to see what Sir Jim can bring to the table, because we never know. This approach of stroking the Glazers, giving them what they want, which is money, and allowing them not to be involved in football endeavors, might be the approach that actually works, because we've never tried that. So we'll see, and we'll see. But yes, guys, remember to like the video, like the stream, you know what I'm saying? Get those likes up right now, people. Keep coming in with your comments, keep coming in with your super chats, and share this out to people. And remember to subscribe to the Football Terrace. Guys, listen, there is a scandal amidst, you know what I'm saying? There is allegations afoot. There is cheating, apparently, that has been taking place. And for once, Luiz can sit there not having to hear about 115 charges, because it ain't about them. It's about Chelsea. Chelsea. Off the back of beating Spurs and drawing Manchester City, when they're on the high, boom, the news has broke. And now, apparently, there have been some accusations of cheating and breaking of FFP under Roman Abramovich, stemming, I think, all the way back to the late noughties, early 10s, you know what I'm saying? So they're looking at 2010, 11, 12, 13, 14, all the way up to 2020 with allegations of breaking FFP, including things such as paying Eden Hazard's agent 7 million euros on the side, looking at deals with Willian and how that came about. And Rory, I want to go to you because you made a tweet earlier as well about this as well. Do you think what Chelsea have been accused of, they have actually done?
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, I don't have any proof, but it's one of those things. There's no reason for it to come out now if there wasn't any truth behind it. And there's a lot of respected journalists that aren't going to just invent a story that Chelsea have done this. And I'll be honest, I don't think Chelsea are the only club to have done this. In fact, I'm certain they're not the only club that will have done this. It's just that because of the way that Roman Abramovich has left and they've been scrutinised, that a lot of it's coming out. But I mean, I think that thing with Eden Hazard's agent is actually unbelievable when you look at it. The fact that Arsenal have pretty much agreed to sign Hazard. Hazard wanted to go to Arsenal. His dad wanted him to go to Arsenal. And suddenly his agent vetoes the move, convinces Hazard to go to Chelsea. And a few months later, 7 million euros lands in his bank account from a Roman Abramovich company. I think it's mental. Absolutely mental. But yeah, it's one of those. Chelsea will get the heat for it now, but I'm sure over the years, lots more examples will come out of different clubs. So what can you do?
Yeah. Lewis, obviously your club have gone through similar kind of investigations in different contexts, but like they're going through it. But looking at this, what do you think about this whole thing? Like, do you think Chelsea are not are now, but have been doing some underhanded tactics to get their honours?
Well, I mean, if you read the reports that are coming out, it certainly doesn't look good, right? You know what I mean? And this needs to be taken seriously, man. This needs to be taken seriously, bro, because we cannot have Premier League that has cheats in it. Yeah, honestly, we need to have the integrity in the game. And if this has been happening, then a severe punishment must come down, as I was told many, many times. So we'll see. But listen, I know that obviously when these owners, when they come in, they like self-reported some stuff. So stuff has definitely gone on because they self-reported some of it. I don't know how much of this has come out through investigation or whatever. But yeah, listen, I mean, it is what it is. We'll have to wait and see what happens. I mean, it's difficult to say what can happen from this situation, you know, because the problem is, right, when it's like a financial breach, you know, it's difficult to say what the punishment should be, right? Because like you know, like Juventus when they cheated, like that was an actual sport in cheating. You know, they cheated. Yeah. They cheated on the pitch. So like that's easy to say. Now you cheated on the pitch. That's ridiculous. That is shocking. Sin a bit, relegation. When it's a financial breach, you've then also got to prove like, was it an intentional? Was it just like a mistake? Like, and then it's like, what's the punishment? Like, how do you punish for a financial breach? You know what I mean? And like I say, then you've got to prove whether or not did they. Obviously, the Eden Hazard one, obviously that looks sus. But like, you know, other scenarios, and you got to try and prove like, did they do it on purpose? If the club's still denying it, like you could say, well, we think you've done it on purpose. The club could be staring you saying, it was a mistake, or we underreported it, or we misunderstood the rules, which obviously can happen when you've got these complex FFP rules. So I think FFP, this is why I think FFP should just be scrapped, because I just think we've had nothing but trouble since FFP come in. We never used to have, I can't remember any like financial situations before FFP. It was just like, it is what it is. People spent what they want, and that was it is. I'm pretty sure since FFP has come in, more teams have been cheating, more teams have been bending the rules. And I think that will continue. So I'd just scrap it. But yeah, with the Chelsea thing, listen, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. The Eden Hazard one certainly looks interesting. I'm sure there's a lot of other stuff there, but you know, what I would also say is these clubs and these owners they're not dumb. They're not dumb. You know what I mean? These are some of the smartest people in the world. So they would cover the tracks. They'll make sure that this is by the way, this is on the proviso that they're actually guilty. If they might just be innocent, we don't know.
Yeah.
But even if they are guilty and they did do these things purposely, you know, you think that they're just going to make it like, oh yeah, we'll just give you 7 million. They would have made some transaction. You know what I mean? If they asked Eden Hazard's agent and said, well, what's this 7 million? He'll probably, you know, because these guys aren't stupid, he'll probably say, this is what happened. We've got a reasonable explanation. And then what the difficulty is, we might all go, yeah, that's dodgy, mate. It was clearly because he signed for Chelsea and this is a payment to you, as Rodri says. But if this guy's got legitimate like paperwork to say, oh no, it was I sold him a house or whatever. And what are you going to do? Prove that that's what it was. Like, this is why I just think that the whole, for me personally, I'm not even just saying this as a City fan. I was always against it, and I'm still against it now, even though we've got our revenues up and now we're seeming to chill on the FFP thing. It's all the other clubs that are struggling. I don't like it. I think it's completely shocking. It stops clubs from investing in the football club, which I think is ridiculous. I can't believe that's a thing. And I just think it encourages cheating and bending the rules. You've got Chelsea doing these long-term contracts. You've got Arsenal signing Raya on loan when they couldn't sign him on a permanent contract. Everyone just, regardless of how small or big people are bending it, people are just bending it. Scrap the whole thing and let's go back to how it was. And if you want to do some spending cap or whatever, fair dues.
Yeah.
But I just think since FFP is coming, it's just been this never used to happen, bro. Before FFP, this never ever used to happen.
So the argument for FFP, which why they say they put it in place, is to protect clubs from going out of business. So you don't have billionaires coming in, inflating the market, inflating the club's expenditure.
That's
and
BS, KJ, and you know that is BS.
Listen. I'm not saying I agree with it, but this is their reasoning. I think you can do that. You can stop clubs from going out of business at the same time as allowing clubs to spend money. I think there is a happy medium between them both. FFP, I think personally, is just a way to control football, but not actually make it better. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
bro,
not actually improve
FFP. If anyone thinks that FFP was brought in to protect clubs going bust, then you're an idiot. You're a fool, and you don't actually understand what this thing is. Yeah, that's. I'm sorry to put it bluntly, that is the truth. FFP was brought in by the big clubs to stop clubs like City, like Chelsea, and like anyone else who got bought from cracking the top. Because clubs like Real Madrid, clubs like Bayern Munich, Barcelona, Juventus. They can't afford for these clubs just to get bought and come up. They want to keep getting the Champions League revenue. FFP, anyone who thinks that is just living, in my opinion, in cloud cuckoo land. That is not what it's for. And in fact, evidence of that, Niall Quinn, former City manager, was a chairman at Sunderland, right? And when he was a chairman at Sunderland, he went to the original meeting about FFP, right? He said this on, this is you can find this on Sky Sports. This is what he said. He said he went to the meeting about FFP. And when they was talking about bringing in FFP, what they said was what you just said, KG. What we're going to bring in. We're going to bring in this thing that's going to help clubs not go bust. And he said when they actually brought in, it was completely different to what they said it was in the first. He said it was completely different. And this was a chairman of Sunderland. Mm-hmm. So just scrap the whole thing, man. It's shocking. And people saying that it allows pay to win. Well, not necessarily. How many clubs spend money? Everton spent 400 million. Chelsea spent $1 billion. Yes, money obviously helps, but you've got to have the right setup. You've got to have the right coaching situation.
All I'm saying is, if you just let go of the reins, put in a better set of rules where everyone can spend, then it becomes not about who spends the most money, is who runs the club better. You know what I mean? I think it would actually improve football teams because it's like, right, we've just seen that just spending money don't work because everyone else is spending money and you're still getting relegated. So how do we advance our team in different ways? And look, FFP is a problem. I do think there's ways around it. I do want to protect teams from going bust like that. I don't want things like QPR and Bury and all these other clubs that have come up and come down. But at the same time, let teams advance quicker, man. Like Brighton shouldn't. If Brighton have got the money to do something within 3 years, they shouldn't have to wait 5 years to do it, or 6 years, or 8 years to do it, just because they're now told you're not allowed to spend. Because any other business outside of the sport will be able to spend as much as they need to get their business up and running. So yeah, it's one of those ones.
Well, just quickly, before we move on. I'd also say that FFP is now going to hinder those smaller clubs even more because the transfer market's inflated. So you can only buy a certain amount of players before you reach the cap. Whereas, 15, 20 years ago, players were cheaper. You could buy more players. You know what I mean? So now it's even more difficult. A suggestion that I had, right, is if you really want to stop teams going bust, then you should tell clubs that you have to put in a year's worth of operating expenses into an escrow account, and that it can't be touched. And then if your owner one day says, I'm not putting any more money in, you've got a full year's worth of money of operating costs sat in a bank account. Now, a couple of things on that. One, you can't tell them to do it overnight because the likes of the giant clubs, you know what I mean, the Uniteds, the Cities, the Arsenals, the Chelseas, the Liverpool, who spend 500, 600 million pounds a year on operating expenses, are not just going to be able to find that overnight. So you've got to implement that over a 10-year period, right? But Rory, yeah, let me ask you a question. Say that was brought in, saying like the rule was Arsenal got a full year's operating expenses in an escrow account by 2033. So 10 years they've got, right, to put this money in. If the club doesn't have the money in the account at the end of the 10 years, they get a 20-point deduction. Because then, if that happens, Rory will know that the only reason that they've got that deduction is because the current owners have not protected his football club by putting that money in. And then no one could have a problem with that. Now, that's a proper way of solving it, but you've got to give him a proper timeline. You've got to give him an extended period of time to put that money in. But FFP, man, load of nonsense.
Yeah. Rory, question. Are you going to say something, Rory?
Well, I was going to say the only thing with that is that if you've got owners like Arsenal, I mean, Arsenal's owners are rich, but Arsenal might have to, hold back some of their spending to start filling up that escrow account over the next 10 years. Whereas for your owners or Newcastle's owners could just dump the whole lot in there straight away. No problem, no sweat. So there would still be an unfair advantage there. But there's always going to be, this is the thing, right? There's always going to be an unfair advantage to the teams that have the richest owners, because there will always be legal loopholes that they can get around. There will always be ways of getting around whatever the laws are, and they will always pay the lawyers more than UEFA or the FA or whatever. So it becomes a complete off the field race of lawyers, basically. And the lawyers that are employed by these super wealthy owners will always be ahead. So I genuinely don't think there is.
Oh, Rory gone. Rory, is that just me? I mean, can you not see Rory anymore? Is he
dipped, mate?
He's dipped. All right, listen, you're waiting for pull the plug, man. They're like, nah, none of this making sense.
You know what? Can I just address a comment quickly in the chat? Yeah, Rohan there says City fan wants FFP removed. Why am I not surprised? Rohan, I want FFP removed for the good of football. As a City fan now, from a competitive point of view, I want FFP to stay. In fact, crank it up, bro. Crank FFP up to the max. Because what you don't understand is we've now got into the drawbridge. As much as they all tried to stop us, we got under there. So from a footballing point of view, for my club, if I'm talking about City being competitive, I want FFP ramped up. Because then that helps my club. Because, whether you believe the revenues or not, my club's making a lot of money. It's making a lot of profit. So we can spend basically what we want. You know what I mean? I want it removed because I believe that Brighton should be able to get taken over by a billionaire and the guy invests what he wants. I believe that Bolton should be able to be taken over by a billionaire and invest what they want without restrictions. So this is the thing. People are so tribal about FFP that they don't even understand how the bloody thing works. You know what I mean? So I've got to point that out because, again, people don't really understand how it works, man.
Yeah. Sorry, before you cut out there, Rory, what was you saying?
I can't remember. Basically, there's no way of getting around the fact that the richest owners will always be able to use their wealth to get an advantage. That's just that is just how it is.
Yeah, and we'll see what happens, develops in the next few years with this. Obviously, they tried the Super League. They've tried different ways of potentially getting more money and getting around FFP. So hopefully there's a change for good in football, especially with like regulation and stuff like that allows people to spend, but not to the point where it will cripple a club. But talking about systems and things that are in place within the game that make no damn sense. The wonderful thing called VAR, people. VAR. Yes. We've clearly experienced, every team has experienced some hardship with VAR this season, especially this season. But over the last few years, VAR has not been fit for purpose in many people's eyes. But recently, you've had the show, Mic'd Up with Michael Owen, and you had Howard Webb on there explaining some very controversial decisions throughout the season. The biggest one being Arsenal and Newcastle's game where the goal was allowed, and he spoke through the decisions and why they decided to allow the goal. Fine, but because of the backlash, you've got Michael Owen coming out calling the media scumbags for questioning the show and saying that basically they're accusing of finding whatever negative thing they can find, they'll find it and write about it. LB, do you think Owen is right to call this out, or are the media and journalists right to call out these refs and call out the fact that you're not challenging Howard Webb on anything that he's saying, just accepting it?
Well, listen, if people want to sit there and say that they disagree with, the referee decision, then and obviously Michael Owen maybe does agree with the referee decision, then obviously he's not going to question Howard Webb, and you're going to wonder why he's not questioning him. People have a right to question the referee. People have a right to question why Howard Webb's saying this and he's not saying that, and therefore people have a right to challenge Michael Owen. I think Michael Owen's probably seen his arse a little bit because he's probably protective of his media image and he don't want to be attacked. But he's took a show which is at the moment, it's heated in that sort of situation. So listen, I think that's a bit of nonsense, to be honest with you, bro. The mic'd up show, yeah, I think it's a little bit of like a pointless thing, because I don't think we necessarily need Howard Webb explaining shit. You know what I mean? I think what fans want is just access to the VAR conversations, right? In my opinion, after the game, put it all on the internet, put it on a portal on the Premier League website, and after the game, 90 minutes after the game, you can go on and you can listen to every single VAR interaction, right? And then maybe if they want to do a show and speak about some interesting ones, fair dues, we don't really need Howard Webb coming on the show explaining that they made a mistake. If they made a mistake, we all know he's made a mistake. What benefit is it him standing there, pretty embarrassing, saying, yeah, we made a mistake. We all know you made a mistake. Maybe some of the contentious ones, because another thing that needs to happen is if people are calling out VAR, you need to learn the rules. I see a lot of people on Twitter chatting about the rules and don't even know what they're talking about half the time. So some of the more like sort of interesting ones, maybe you can go on there and explain that. But to be honest, I think people just want to listen to the VAR and how they got to the decision, because Rory probably won't agree with this, but the Newcastle goal, for example, once you listen to it, I think you can come to an understanding of why they might have come to that decision, even if you disagreed with the foul being a foul or whatever. You can sort of understand how we maybe have come to that conclusion. We don't need Howard Webb standing there explaining to us that the referee didn't think it was a foul. We obviously know he didn't think it was a foul, otherwise he would have given a bloody foul. So I just think it's a little bit of a PR exercise. I think Howard Webb's taken over control of the referees and is maybe focusing on the wrong things, in my opinion. He's come in this year and he's like, we're going to do yellow cards galore for dissent. We're going to do it for time wasting. We're going to add a load of time on. I'm going to admit, right? I tell you what I would have done, yeah. If I was in Howard Webb's shoes, I would have gone into the referee office, yeah, and I said, right, we're not introducing no more rules. You know what I mean? We're not doing none of this extra time, 10 minutes. We're not doing this booking everyone that comes to speak to the referee. No, what we're doing is we're going to focus on our decisions. And every game, every key decision, we're going to get in the office on a Monday and we're going to go through it and we're going to scrutinize every decision. We're going to up the game. I just think he's come in there and I think he's been a bit arrogant, in my opinion. I think he's gone in there, Billy Big Bollocks, and thought, yeah, I'm going to change this, change that. I'm going to do the TV show. And he's been let down because the referees have made some poor calls. So I just think it's a PR exercise, personally.
Yeah. Fair enough. And Rory, obviously you're an Arsenal fan, so this obviously hits you more than probably some other fans. But hearing how they explained and how Howard Webb tried to break down their decision that they come to you, how did that make you feel? And do you agree that this is just a needless exercise right now and you're just making it worse?
Yeah, I think the show is them trying to make themselves look transparent when they're not, because they could be very transparent by just giving us all of the audio straight away and letting us make our own judgment. Why does it need to take 10 days? Only hear the audio from some parts of it. Like, we didn't hear the audio of either of the red card incidents in that game, which for most people were actually worse decisions than the goal itself. Didn't hear the audio of that. So we only hear the audio that they want us to hear, and then you've got like a completely biased opinion of what that audio is because you've got Howard Webb. I'd even say bring in a foreign ref. Why does it need to be Howard Webb? Bring in a foreign ref and let him go through the audio and say, this is what they did wrong. This is what they should have said. That would give at least a bit more insight. And then with that specific goal itself, I could understand most of it. I could understand what they were saying. I could, the one thing I just disagreed with was how they could set, the guy could say, well, there's two hands in his back, but I don't know if it's a push. So there's two hands in his back and Gabriel's flown forwards. but I don't know if it's a push. For me, it's like, well, obviously it was a push. So that's annoying. But the general show itself, I just think Michael Owen, by the way, coming out calling people scumbags for criticising the show. Why does he think he's the one that they picked for the show? Of all the pundits they could pick, they picked Michael Owen. Why does he sit there and think that they've picked him because he's got great insight and he's a great interviewer? Or no, they've picked him because they know he's the boring bloke that won't say anything out of turn and that will basically just appease Howard Webb. That's why he's there, and that's why people are annoyed. So, yeah, the show's a joke. I watch rugby, and I can't believe that, and I think it's just arrogance that they don't look at rugby and go, all of it works so much better in rugby than it does in football, where you have one VAR. They don't need 15 people in the VAR all talking at the same time.
Because that sounds like a mess. Absolute
sounds
mess.
like a mess. They've got one person. They've got the referee on the field who can just look at one of the big screens, doesn't have to run over to a monitor, and they just discuss what they're seeing on the screen at the time. You hear the discussion, they come to a conclusion. Because even as it is, the Chelsea Spurs penalty red card for Romero, it's like the VAR's going, well, I think this is what, as Oliver's going over to the monitor, he's like, well, I think this is what's happened, but you need to make your own decision. And it's like, well, you've already put in his head what you think the decision should be. Just have a conversation. Just be like, this is what I'm seeing. Are you seeing the same thing? Yeah, I think that's what I'm seeing. Job done. It's so unnecessarily overcomplicated, not transparent, and ultimately, I don't think anyone enjoys football more because of it, and that's fundamentally.
Yeah, Rory, I've got to say as well, I don't think this is ever going to work properly because our decisions are so subjective, man. So subjective. Like, you can literally show me a cast iron red card, and you'll find people in the stream who will say it was a decent tackle.
Never a red.
Yeah, but
it's
true.
happens.
It's true. So, I think as football fans as well, we've also got to accept that VAR was not brought in to re-referee matches. It was brought in to find clear and obvious errors. So, for example, do you know the Newcastle goal, right? I would have just gone with whatever the on-field decision was because I think you can argue it either way. I do think Gabriel's gone down soft, and I don't think he's put that much pressure on him. But if the referee would have given a foul on the day, if I was the VAR, I wouldn't have overturned it. I would have stuck with the foul because I'd be like, that's not clear. It's not clear and obvious. So I think as fans, we've also got to understand that they are going to make calls that we're not going to agree with because it's a subjective game, right? But they're just making it's too long. They're getting involved too much, and so some of the decisions are just like, you can't really understand it, So I don't know. I never liked it. I was always against it before it came out. I'm against it now. I don't think it'll ever work. People can talk about it's not VAR, it's the people. I don't think it's ever going to work because no matter what happens, you're always going to get people disagreeing with it. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I
think there's a simpler way to have VAR in football to be effective. Just like look how good the simple goal line technology is. Censoring the ball, censoring the goalposts, over the line, not over the line, boom, done.
Yeah, but that's a binary decision, though, bro. That's a binary call.
But I feel like there are things within the game that, like the offside thing, but is actually fine. Their issue is they're trying to make it too complicated with the lines and like the frames, and that's
they fixed that though, innit now, KJ, because they've got the new UEFA system for next year.
So we can use that. So that's what I mean. There are ways to make it integrated into the sport a lot easier and simpler that is effective. But right now, they're doing way too much in my opinion.
Again, right? So where I look at rugby, the way it works in rugby is unless the referee has clearly missed something very obvious, the TMO, which is their VAR, won't intervene unless the referee actually on field asks them to. So he might see something, and as the game carries on, he'll say to them, "Can you just check that for me? Because I think it might have been this." But if he doesn't say that, they won't really look at it, but they'll keep an eye on blatant things. Whereas like Obi said, everything is micro-analyzed, and the more VAR has gone on, by the way, the more it's become micro-analyzed. Like, it wasn't like this at the start where every goal was every single possible thing that might be able to rule it out was looked at, but it's become more and more like that. And unless they properly haul it back to you only intervene if the ref didn't see what happened, otherwise it goes with his decision, then I think we're just going to keep going and keep going and keep going, and VAR checks are getting longer. And it's just ruining the sport.
Yeah, I feel you guys. I feel you guys in the comments. Tell me what you are feeling. We got some super chats here as well to go through the last two topics. We got I know damn well Bank of England FC ain't talking. Whoa. Who's Bank of England FC? Is it? It can't be. It can't be. It can't be
me.
LB. It can't be City. Surely not.
You know, Bank of UAE
Because
or wherever it is.
wrong thing. And he goes, and people wonder why Todd and Co sacked the old board. To be fair, I don't think they sacked them because they knew these things were under the wraps. They sacked them because they didn't want them in the club. You know what I mean? They want to do their own thing. Aya here says this City fan talking about an FFP is criminal, saying scrap the police and crime will go up. Crime will go down since there won't be any crimes to report.
Well, that makes no sense, isn't it? If there's no FFP, people wouldn't have to lie about the finances. So why would people? I mean, that's not the same. Comparing it to the police is not the same, bro. If there was no FFP, why would Chelsea have to make dodgy payments? Why would City have to make dodgy payments if there was no FFP, bro? I mean, come on, man. Engage brain, isn't it?
It's a different. You know what's mad about it as well? It's actually not an illegal thing. Like, it's illegal within the rules of the sport, but in life, like, it's actually not illegal. So it's really hard.
It depends if it's fraud, isn't it? Because I think what they're effectively saying about City, not that I really want to get into it, is that we've basically like fucked the accounts, which is a criminal matter. So that's why it's so serious with the City one, and that's why I think it's obviously going to go quite high up if anything happens, because you're effectively accusing City of fraud, and by doing that, you're accusing of a
country,
you know what I mean. That's why it's serious, man.
Yeah, man. Good shout. Rohan comes back here, says, let's be real, those investigations will result into nothing. So he doesn't believe Chelsea or maybe even Man City might not get anything for them. Easy to win the Champions League than the Premier League. Why Arsenal not aiming for that? What a random super chat. Bad.
Why do you think we're not aiming for the Champions League? We're not in it just to take part.
Yeah, listen, that's what United's for. We're here just to try and get into the Europa League. That's why we were a mistake. We thought we was going to finish 6th last season. So that's why we're performing badly, because we should be in the Europa League. Enigma says City and Chelsea is like the pizza shop in Brooklyn that owned by the mob. Nobody believes Haaland cost 50 million, by the way. Okay, can we stop talking about the Haaland deal like it was fraud? He had a release clause, and they made a contract with him about other things. Like, come on, guys. If you want to,
the thing is with that one, is people are butthurt that we got him on such a good price. Like, did we pay his agent? Yeah, like everybody else. But like people just can't believe that we got him for a £50 million release clause.
Chat to Dortmund if you got issue with it, because that man set these prices. PGMOL, I don't even like saying that acronym. I just like saying the refs. Knows that if you talk long enough, you can explain anything, and most people buy it. They didn't even show the Bruno G hand challenge. Apparently, I saw a graphic about that. I don't know if it was real or not, like a real quote, basically saying that he didn't actually try and hit him on the elbow as an accident. Basically, that's why they didn't say anything, which I think is cap. Strap a smartphone to the ref's arm and let them make all the decisions using replays. I hate these decisions by committee. Hey, listen, imagine that, guys. Hold up.
Just let him use the big screen, though. Just let him use the big screen.
To be fair, if they use the big screen, then everyone in the stadium can also see what the ref is seeing. And I don't think anyone will be annoyed as much as they are now. Video assistant referee was brought into correcting ref mistakes, but now these bollocks saying they can't overturn on-field ref decisions make it make sense. Give me a break. Yeah, Wolves have won. They're all over the place right now. Big up Footy Mo. Man like Mo in the house saying LB speaking facts. I think he's talking about when he's talking about FFP. He's an Inter fan as well, so it's not just something about oil clubs. I know people like in the chat like to say that. Jerome goes, I just have one question: is the Football Terrace in the Football Content Awards this year? So it is the Football Content Awards tonight. We are not in it, unfortunately, because we can't.
We're lame. We're all us three don't deserve the trophies, man. So we're here speaking about VAR and FFP, innit?
No, but good luck to all the nominees today, and hopefully, people that I like win. You know what I'm saying? Wait, IFL is Arsenal a big club? If so, why? What's with these weird Arsenal questions today, Rory?
This guy's an Arsenal hater. I swear, I recognize his name from just being an absolute hater.
Yeah, but you know what? Speaking of Arsenal, we're gonna move on to them now. Aaron Ramsdale has been speaking in an interview with Ian Wright, and I think someone else, forgot who it was. And that has just set everything alight. Him and his dad have caused a media storm, which I think Arsenal haven't really had since like Aubameyang. Like they've been, you guys have, in terms of players and PR and all this, you guys have been pretty good for the last couple of seasons now, where everything's in-house, everything's done. Aaron Ramsdale talking, his dad talking. Rory, I'm just going to come to you. Like, what should Arteta and Arsenal do in this situation? Because you can't have his dad coming out saying he's a cup keeper, his smile is gone, he feels mistreated. Ramsdale saying he can't. And listen, and I think you might have cleared up the whole I can't concentrate during games kind of thing. But like all these things are coming out now around Aaron Ramsdale. What do you think your team should do, and how do you feel about it?
Yeah, I think there's a bunch of things. I think one, this is being blown up more because he's English, and the English media don't like the fact that the English keeper's been dropped. I think what Ramsdale said in that interview, by the way, that Ian Wright interview was in May. It was uploaded to YouTube in May, and that clip went round in May. And at that time, there was nothing about David Raya joining Arsenal. Aaron Ramsdale was the number one. And actually, people were like, oh, fair play. That's why Arsenal fans have always loved the way that he is with the crowd. Like he's a bit quirky, he's a bit different, and it's fun. And it works. But all of a sudden now it comes out now that we've got David Raya and people have got a massive problem with. So that interview I had no problem with. I've seen loads of other goalkeepers explain that they have difficulty staying concentrated in games where they have a lot of possession and don't have a lot to do. I think Edison said it last month that he's had issues with concentration. So that side, no issue with Ramsdale doing podcasts, being honest. And the other thing is we're always banging on about how we want players to be honest and we don't want them to be just PR robots. And then when a player is honest, they get jumped on. So that's fine. I think his dad is problematic because I don't think it helps Aaron. I don't think Aaron Ramsdale would want his dad doing that. It makes him look like a bit like, why do you need your dad to come out and bat for you and back you up? Like, it's a bit embarrassing. Arsenal definitely won't want it. And it's just one of those, like, it just adds fuel to the fire when you really don't need to. So I don't know why his dad's done it. It's certainly not going to help. It's not only not going to help Ramsdale's career at Arsenal, it's not going to help his career at any future club. No future club's going to look at that situation in a good way. So, yeah, I don't know why his dad said that. And it's a bit embarrassing, but it is what it is.
LB, imagine Scott Carson's dad comes out and says he's tired of being a third choice goalkeeper at Man City.
I think everybody would just laugh, wouldn't they? I think everybody would just be laughing. The guy's got the best job in the world, man. Third choice goalkeeper. He has to travel all over Europe with a team. He gets to win trophies. He's probably on a lot more than all of us. And yeah. Listen, man, I think this was, you could sort of see this sort of stuff coming because, in my personal opinion, I don't think Ramsdale deserved to be dropped anyway in the summer. My personal opinion. I think that if he was going to buy a replacement goalkeeper or loan, as they've done, I think you needed to get someone a lot better than Raya. Again, my personal opinion, just to make it sort of like, because the problem that you had is you got Raya in, and then automatically what Arteta did, and I called this straight away, he sort of split the fan base, because then you had people saying, no, give Raya the number one. And then you had some Arsenal fans saying, no, stick with Ramsdale, has done nothing wrong. So you had this Arsenal fan base who was, 90% all pulling in one direction, and automatically he's put fucking, line down the middle and told people you got to pick one. You go with Raya and you go with Ramsdale, and the guy he's got in Raya, I don't even think he's that good personally. You know what I mean? I think his kicking isn't even that impressive, and when I see him on crosses, he doesn't look that great. So if he was going to buy in a new goalkeeper, which is more than entitled to do, I think he needed to go up there, get one of the best goalkeepers in the world. I think from day one, you knew as soon as he signed Raya, that was the end of Ramsdale. And I think, you've seen people saying, and I think his dad did an interview at the time and said, oh, yeah, we're happy for the competition. That was anyone that believed that. You clearly don't watch football enough. He was not happy with that decision. The whole clapping thing, that's obviously just to try and show the Arsenal fans that he's pulling in the right direction. But let me tell you, and Rory will know this, that he would have been dying inside because he wants to be on that football pitch. I think his career at Arsenal is probably over. And he's going to have to get a move. The tricky thing is, Rory's right. He needs to tell his dad to wind his neck in, because no club's going to want this. Oh, yeah, we sign you. What happens if you go through some poor form and we have to drop you? Your dad's going to do a podcast and out all our club and that or whatever. You know what I mean? So I think he needs to tell his dad, shut up. I think he's probably finished at Arsenal. Hopefully he gets a move in January. But where's he go? Because, I looked at the Premier League table yesterday about this and thought, what club wants him? Very, very difficult, man. You're going down to sort of mid-table, lower level of the table. He's probably going to. Maybe if he accepts that first, but he's had a taste of it now. He was in a title race last year, Champions League football. Is he really going to want to go to a lower league? He might have to go abroad. So I think he's in a really difficult situation. I would say that I do feel he's been harshly treated. I don't think necessarily. I'll be interested to hear what Rory thinks because I didn't think he did much wrong. I know he made a couple of mistakes at the end, you know what I mean? But it wasn't his fault that Arsenal didn't win the league last year. He made that performance at Anfield was absolutely magnificent. I think he's been really harshly treated. But having said that, Arteta has he right to make that call. I just think he's made the wrong signing. I think if you're going to make a statement like that, you've got to go big. You've got to go and get one of the best goalkeepers. And he's not. He's got Raya. And I think he's not even that good.
Yeah. I always thought it was harsh the way that Ramsdale was treated. I think Ramsdale is a good enough keeper to win a league, to win a Champions League. Because I don't think he was the reason that we ended up not winning the league last season. So
I agree.
And he's still young. He's what, 25 still? Maybe just turned 26. But he's a young goalkeeper. But like you say, where does he go? Like I don't think he'll move in January anyway, because then Arsenal would have to go out and buy a second choice keeper.
But the thing is, Rory, can I just quickly come in on that one? If he's not that he will, right? Because obviously Pickford's clearly the number one. But if he's got any hope at all, because if I'm Ramsdale now, I'm sitting there thinking, I don't have to leave in January. I can wait till the summer. But if I stay and Pickford gets injured and I'm not playing, I'm on the bench, will Southgate go, you know what? I would have picked you if you was playing. I'm going to go to Sam Johnson instead. So for me, I think he has to force out a move just in case Pickford was to pick up an injury or he suffered a massive form dip. I just think it's come at the worst time with the Euros in the summer. I just think it's come at the worst time for him.
Yeah, but the thing is, I just don't think he can force a way out unless it was like ridiculous in the media and stuff, because he signed a new contract in the summer. So there's no real way of him forcing his way out in January. And the way that Arteta's already dealt with him, I don't think Arteta's going to sit there and go, we'll let him go to try and get into the England squad. I don't think Arteta will care less if he gets in the England squad or not. It's not his issue. So, I don't think he'll go in January. I think he'll go next summer. Maybe he goes to Chelsea if they decide Sanchez isn't good enough. But outside of that, you look at the top teams, they've all spent decent money or got just as good a keeper or better. So I agree. Even, Vicario's come in and looked better than Raya or Ramsdale in the first few games. So yeah, I think it's tough. It's tough. It's harsh on him. But like you said, I can't see any scenario other than injury where David Raya isn't the keeper for the rest of the season and into next season. So
yeah, it was interesting. Like obviously Raya came in and I was like, you know what, that's cool. Like two goalkeepers of a good level for one club, like it's good. But I always believe that it can't last for long. That's one reason why I didn't mind David De Gea going if we bought in Onana, because like if you bring in Onana to have David De Gea on the bench doing what on 300k a week, like it doesn't make any sense. You saw it with Chelsea with Cech and Courtois. That only lasted the season. Like the goalkeepers are the one position where it's like you basically just have one guy and the other guy is literally just good enough to be there just in case. So yeah, it's a very interesting dynamic, and this is a thing as a manager, it has to pay off. If you've got a goalkeeper who's steady, he's been with you at that point, he's been 2 seasons with Arsenal, he's been improving, helped you get into a title race. If you decide that actually one of the big reasons why we didn't win the league last season is the goalkeeper and you replace him, you have to go and succeed. Now, this puts a massive pressure on Raya. I think that's another reason why he's probably not performing as well as he could do, because he also knows that, I need to perform because I've just ousted this guy's position for no real reason. You know what I mean? There's no real damn reason why he's there. It's just now he's there. And he puts the pressure on Arteta to make sure the team wins. So it's going to be interesting. Well, I don't think Ramsdale dad should come out and do what he did. I understand why. It's your son. You want to defend him. Like the family are always going to want to defend. It's like Harry Maguire and his family. His family always comes out and says something. And you just like, I get why you're doing it, but you're actually not helping. So hopefully for Ramsdale's sake, that situation can get sorted, and maybe there might be a chance for him to get his spot back. Maybe there's a cup game, or maybe if Raya is actually really bad, because it's not like he's been great. So
well, I think
we'll see.
funnily enough, our next game is against Brentford. So and I don't think Raya can play. So
Oh, yeah.
Ramsdale will play the next game, but other than that, it'll be the FA Cup and that'll be it. But I just don't know what Ramsdale's dad thought he was going to achieve. Like, as if he was going to come on a fairly obscure podcast and Arteta was going to hear it and go, "Oh, do you know what? He's right. Let me put Ramsdale back in." Like,
I think what I got from it was that they're just really frustrated about how it went, because it seemed, from listening to it, it seemed like there was like no reasoning given, or there was no real explanation. It almost seemed like it was out the blue. And you said he signed a new contract as well, which again suggests that like this was just completely random, and it wasn't, because he's surely not going to sign a new contract if he's saying, "Oh, by the way, I'm signing David Raya from Brentford. He's going to be my number one." He's probably thought, right, we're probably not going to sign a new deal then. It sounds to me like they just want to sort of let people know that they was really frustrated about it, and was it the right thing to do? Definitely not. But I don't think having two goalkeepers like that's good. Again, I remember, some Arsenal fans say it's a good thing that we've got two goalkeepers. Like, I don't think it is, because I think the goalkeeper, you need to know who's the number one. You need to have a decent backup, but I think the goalkeeper's got to know that if he makes a mistake, he's not out the team the next week. You know what I mean? He can. Obviously he keeps making mistakes, and obviously, but he's got that little bit of leeway. You know what I mean? He's not constantly under pressure. He's not constantly thinking, "I've got to do something to impress. I can just play my game." Edison he made a mistake against Chelsea. He can make a mistake in his next match. He's not going to be dropped for Ortega, but Ortega's good enough where if he does fall off, we can stick him in. I think Arsenal, the problem is they've got two goalkeepers that are very, in my opinion, similar level. And I just don't think that's the way to go. And the thing that I don't get about it is I don't think Arteta needed to make that call. I think it's a strange one. I think he took a massive gamble, and will it pay off? I guess we'll find out at the end of the season. But I just think it was completely unnecessary, really unnecessary.
No, I hear that, guys. Tell us in the comments how you're feeling about this Ramsdale move. I know a lot of Arsenal fans have been very split down the middle with this whole topic. So let us know how you guys are feeling as well. Remember to smash the like button as well. Subscribe to the Football Terrace and share this out for all the people not watching right now. We're almost to the end, people, but we still got enough time for more topics as we go through. We're gonna keep on with Arsenal though, talking about taking gambles. The transfer window is coming up, and Arsenal need reinforcements, especially in that midfield. And there are some players that have been coming up, and one player who apparently almost moved to Arsenal before is back on the radar in Douglas Luiz. Douglas Luiz of Aston Villa is apparently being lined up to be a reinforcement in January. LB, I'll come to you first in this one. Do you think Douglas Luiz is someone who could come in and elevate Arsenal and the Arsenal squad?
The squad, he'll elevate the squad 100%. Will he elevate the starting 11? Well, at the moment with Jorginho, probably. I think it probably tells me that his party, I know he's been injured, but what's going on there? That seems like he's probably going to get offered something to me, in my view. But yeah, I think it's a good signing. I still think they need an attacking player. I think Ivan Toney would be a great player for them. I think that's where I'd be looking at. They need to work out who's going to be providing long-term competition and cover for Saka. Said that in the summer, and I think I've been proven right, really, because he's had a couple of injuries and that. He needs to be pushed, and he needs cover as well. Maybe that could be Jesus, because I still believe, based on what I've seen at City, that Jesus is a better winger than he is a striker. So I think, if you bring in Toney, then you've got Toney, Jesus, and Eddie Nketiah, who's probably not good enough, but you've got them three. You've got Jesus and Saka, who can cover the right wing. You've got Trossard and Martinelli, who can cover the left. Bring in Douglas Luiz. I still think there's something dodgy going on with Partey. I don't know whether he's going to go in January. I don't know. But yeah, I think that's all right. I still think they need to, what they're going to do with the attacking left side, because Havertz ain't good enough, in my opinion. What they do there, I think they massively lost out on letting Xhaka go. He got 14 GNA last year. That's massively underrated, just how good that is for a midfielder who's not even like an attacking player. He's just sort of like a standard midfielder. He got 14 GNA last year. And I watched him, watched by Leverkusen against Karabakh. because I was doing a Verts watch along. I wasn't doing a Shaka watch along, and he's just so chill. He's just so comfortable, and I think they missed that. So yeah, obviously there's only so much they can do in January. Tony, Douglas Luiz, yeah, that's good. I still think they need an attacking player who can play that left hand side. In my view, unless they want Rice to be that guy and Douglas Luiz to be the 6, I don't know, but. I don't know where Rice's best position is, man. I think that's something that's going to be found out probably this year and next. But signing Havertz to me was a bit of a gamble that they didn't need to take as well. But yeah, listen, Douglas Luiz, good signing. And if they get Tony, that's really good.
Rory, Douglas Luiz, what are your thoughts on him, bro?
Yeah, I think compared to, I think it was the summer before the one just gone that we first went in for him, and we really pushed Villa to try and get him, and they wouldn't let him go, and then he signed a new contract with them. So clearly there was interest there, and Arteta does have a habit of not giving up on players that he's been interested in. David Raya we originally wanted before we got Ramsdale, and he went back to him. So I can see us going for him, but I remember summer before last, we were fighting over whether we were going to pay 22, 25 million for him. Whereas I think now Villa will probably want at least 50, given the way the market's gone. So I just don't think we got the money. From a lot of what I've heard, we don't have money to spend this January because of FFP. We're right on the limit of FFP. So I definitely don't think we'll get Tony. And it sounds like Brentford aren't going to let Tony go in January anyway. They're going to try and get him to sign a new contract and sign him for more in the summer. So yeah, look, Douglas Luiz would be great. I think he would come in as a 6. I think Declan Rice's long-term position is as that left-sided 8. And Douglas Luiz would obviously be a massive upgrade on what at the moment is a position that's almost entirely falling on Jorginho's shoulders. And then you've got El Neni. So clearly it's a big upgrade to the squad. Hopefully we can get him. Ruben Neves apparently is on the radar as well. Personally, I think I'd prefer Douglas Luiz to Neves, but yeah, we'll see. I just think he's going to be too much money.
Yeah,
for me, sorry, KJ, for me, this again just highlights how bad of a signing Havertz was, man. 60, 70 million quid on him was just completely unnecessary. And that money could have been spent a lot wiser. I wasn't against the signing of Havertz for Arsenal if it was cheap, if it was 20 million, gamble, yeah, fair dues. But 70 million quid, I just think that is just shocking for me. And that combined with the Raya signing, I just think it's annoying. Not annoying for me because obviously I'm a City fan, I don't really care. But from an Arsenal point of view, I think it must be a bit annoying because you made such a good signing in Rice, such a good signing in Timber. They're really good signings. And then you've just gone and, fucked it a little bit with signing Havertz at 65 million and signing Raya and then causing this drama with the goalkeeper. You could have just signed Timber, could have signed Rice, and then just gone and spent the other money on another midfielder or an attacking player and just had a really solid set of players where he's kind of gone and got 2 good ones and then just sort of fucked it a little bit with the Havertz thing. I don't know. I think I'd just be really frustrated if I was an Arsenal fan. And now Rory's saying that they can't go out and spend in January. I don't know. I just look at it and I just don't think they've got enough in that midfield. I just don't think they've got enough for me.
It's been interesting how the midfield's developed for Arsenal because obviously Partey, Rice and Odegaard was the dream, and you're just not being able to do it for whatever different reasons, whether it's Odegaard's form of or Partey just not being fit. It's just not materializing. So you guys need that spark, and obviously Kai Havertz is an enigma in himself. It's just kind of like Mason Mount and Man United. It's kind of like both of them just came to the clubs and everyone was just scratching their heads like, what on earth is going on here? But Douglas Luiz, I think, will be a very good addition. He's solid. He can score. He can score goals from range and from the penalty spot, which is always useful. Free kicks as well. Arteta's worked with him at City a little bit before he left out for his adventures at Man City. So yeah, I think it'll be a good sign. It'll just be dealing with Villa though, because right now they're on a high. Obviously, I'm from Birmingham. I live here. Villa fans are absolutely buzzing with their season so far, and I can understand why. They probably are one of the best teams in the Conference League, and they'll probably look to win that. They're going to be there now that it's top 5. They'll be fighting for that top 5 spot, potentially get Champions League as well. So, trying to get Douglas Luiz out of return of the Mac. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, trying to get Douglas Luiz out of Aston Villa, I think will be very, very difficult.
Especially because Rory's saying they don't have the cash for it.
Yeah.
And this is the problem that I see with Arsenal. I think signing Rice was obviously a great signing, but have they actually improved the squad? Obviously Timber's probably improved the defensive side, but I don't think they've really improved the squad, to be honest with you. And this is where I just think this is what I'm going back to a minute ago. This isn't me hating on Arsenal, by the way. This is my genuine opinion of like. This is why I just get a little bit like, why did they sign Havertz? Because they needed to bolster that squad. Obviously, they didn't know Partey was going to be injured. They didn't know Timber was going to be injured. But I just feel like this is why I just don't think they're going to win the league, because I just don't think the squad's big enough.
Yeah, well, I think Havertz was an attacking signing. I think the intention of Havertz was meant to be a versatile player that could play across the front three and give us a different dynamic up there. It's just ended up that because Partey's not been fit, we've had Odegaard not being fit, that pretty much Havertz has only been deployed on either side of the midfield. So I don't know. Obviously, injuries are annoying. Signing Timber and then having him out for the season is a nightmare.
Yeah, got it. That is because he was looking brilliant.
Yeah, but I mean, every team has had some big injuries so far this season, so we're not the only ones.
No, I hear that. I hear that. Before we go to super chats, we've got one more thing to talk about. It involves Arsenal, but not just Arsenal, because Rory did mention him. Ruben Neves is being looking like he's went for his big maneuver in Saudi Arabia. Already want to come back. You know what I'm saying? Maybe you got enough money to cover whatever debts or whatever thing you was trying to save up for. You know what I mean? I'm saving for a wedding and a house, so it takes me a long time to do that. These man's probably saving up for something huge. You know what I'm saying? So maybe he's been saving for something mad. He's got the money and now he wants to come back already. Arsenal linked with him with a loan move, but not just Arsenal, Spurs and Newcastle have also been linked with him as well, especially Newcastle, obviously with their Saudi links. Lots of contention with that, though. A lot of people saying that's another form of cheating, or there's another form of bending rules that should be changed. Rory, Ruben Neves, where do you think he will go, and do you think Newcastle should be allowed to get him on loan?
They definitely shouldn't be allowed to get him on loan, and I think there might actually be a rule that comes into play before January that stops them getting him on loan. They should be able to buy him. The issue is, and this is just going to become an issue that becomes bigger as time goes on, as there are more owners that own multiple clubs. It's going to become a problem where these instances are going to happen, where players will, it might not be as extreme as Neves going for 6 months and then coming back for a price that Wolves would never have sold him directly to Newcastle for. But I just don't know how you can get around it, because you can't suddenly start saying, well, no club that has the same owner or the same partial ownership can buy a player from a club. And it happens all the time. You look at the amount that Sesko went from one Red Bull club to another Red Bull club for when there were offers on the table that were much bigger. So I don't know if there's much you can do. And as a result, I think he probably will end up going to Newcastle, because if Newcastle put down the same offer that Spurs put down or that Arsenal put down, well, obviously the Saudis are going to let him go to Newcastle, because why wouldn't they? So, yeah, it's I think he'll end up in Newcastle, basically.
Oh, fair enough. LB, do you think this is a strange thing in terms of like he's gone out of there and he's already want to come back? Like, do you have question marks over the player?
No, I think I'm surprised it's taken this long. You know what I mean? I think you see now rumours Gabri Vega as well. There's potential teams that want to bring.
Even went out there. That was
yeah, exactly. Yeah, now potentially he might want to come back or whatever. Although they've released a statement saying he's chilling. I think this is gonna happen. I think a lot of people probably went out there for the money and have realised that it's not quite what it's cracked up to be. Some of the games you played in front of 500 people or whatever, and some of these players are probably thinking to themselves, "I want to be playing Premier League football," So they want to come back in it. So listen, if Neves goes Newcastle, I mean, what's the issue there is if Newcastle are in sort of like some financial fair play situation where they can't buy a player. By the way, surely if we just got rid of FFP, then it won't be a problem. But if they had an FFP situation which stopped them from signing him on a permanent transfer, and then they ended up getting him on a loan, then that does obviously look fishy. But if the club, whoever he's at in Saudi Arabia, say, yeah, we're accepting that you can go on loan, you can go Arsenal, you can go Tottenham, you can go Newcastle, it's up to the player, we're not bothered, and then he goes Newcastle, that's not dodgy. So yeah, listen, I think we're going to run into these complex issues, and I think we're going to run into a more, because I don't think he'll be the only one. I think you're going to start seeing a lot of these players that have gone there, especially the ones that are not old. You know what I mean? If you're in your 30s, Riyad Mahrez ain't going to be going, I want to go back to City. You know what I mean? He's 33. Yeah. He's chilling. You know what I mean? But if you're in your 20s, like Gabri Vega, he signed a 7-year deal, I think. whatever.
That was
That's, you know what I mean?
mad.
And
Unless he's thinking, yo, just give me the money and just keep loaning me out to European teams. What on earth, man? That was a crazy deal. And it obviously he was a growing star in Spain as well. It's just madness. But yeah, interesting stuff, guys. We've got some super chats to go through real quick. We got Emmanuel says, don't see what the issue is with Ramsdale. Did the same to Leno. Obviously, he had Leno and Martinez batting out for a few years, and then he had Leno and Ramsdale for a bit as well. Raya is on loan with an option. He was Teta's first choice, so yes, that is true about Raya there. And then you got EM says Ramsdale's father says that because he was too much on the drink. Apparently, he was waived. Apparently, we've got Brentford driving up the price for Tony, or will they keep him? I'm sure they'll try their best to keep Ivan Tony, especially in January. I don't see them selling him for anything less than 50 million plus. And we've got some chats here. Rory, MJ says, Rory, last season you took 4 steps forward, and this season you're good, but you've taken a few steps back. Self-inflicted problems by Mikel, complicating things for himself. Kai transfer and 2 number 1 goalkeepers.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I don't think the goalkeeper situation, I don't think it's actually affected our performances. The Kai transfer, yeah, obviously, that hasn't worked out yet, but I don't think the goalkeeper situation has damaged the way that we're playing. It's just, it's just
unnecessary talk around
Yeah.
rubbing it. Yeah, it's just unnecessary drama, really.
Yeah. And then we got Wizard here saying after last season's failure, Arsenal needed a springboard this season after that huge failure and setback. Their plan keep Arteta. Well, okay, they did fail, but to call it a huge failure and setback, it's a bit overblown there, Wizard. Like they did good, you know what I mean? Overall, they did well. So yeah, I don't think it's that much of a problem personally to keep Arteta. And Jerome says this is a disgrace. Terrace is the OG for having all fans on one platform, not even being nominated is a joke. It's not a joke, Jerome. They actually can't. Basically, our partners that invest in the Football Terrace also run the Football Content Awards. So it will look really weird and dodgy if we end up winning all these awards, you know what I mean? And they're partnered with us. So like we actually can't. Like if things change in the future, then maybe. But yeah, I understand. Thank you, Jerome, for all the love. And I wish we would be able to get in there because we do deserve our plaudits, but we actually can't because it's only fair that we are not. But maybe in the future. Right, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Top 6 special edition. We're going to call it the Huge 3 because there's 3 of us. You know what I'm saying? Guys, make sure you smash the like button. Make sure you share this out and subscribe to the Football Terrace. I was joined by Luiz and Rory. Thank you so much, guys, for coming on. We appreciate everything you said, guys. Remember that this is the best place to find your football content. Go follow these guys on their YouTube channels and on Twitter and on socials. And until then, guys, make sure you are good. Have an enjoyable week. Terry will be back tomorrow. He was just enjoying a nice family break today, celebrating a birthday. And he's all good. So don't worry, guys. Terry will be back soon. But until then, guys, stay safe and enjoy your week.